Goonies never die. Wait a minute. We can't say that. What's up, everybody? It's your host here, Cristo from Stud City, with the brand new Lego ideas. The Goonies, the hit 1980s film, is brought to life here in 2025 with one of the most epic Lego sets of the year. So I thought I'd take a deep dive into the building experience, my overall thoughts, the amazing lineup of minifigs, and all the callback references because this set really blew my mind, and we're going to get all into that in today's video. So if that interests you, hit that subscribe button, like today's video, and let's jump straight on into it. Like I mentioned, we have the brand new Goonies set, which is going to retail for $330 here in the US, releasing on November 1st for us Lego insiders, as well as November 4th for everybody else. This copy was gifted over by the Lego group, so let's jump straight on in. For my Lego box gazers and enthusiasts of boxes, this is the Goonies Lego Ideas number 71. It comes with 2,912 pieces. Of course, the black box art style. Now, on the back side, there's going to be some nice call outs to some of the traps, including the piano, which I think is the most important, as well as the balls from the ceiling that drop, which is pretty cool, and then the trap door with the key that turns. You also have the entire page of minifigures, which there's so many to get into, and trust me, rather than looking at the box art, I'd rather take you on a dive and see them in person. So as we open this one up, it has the not for sale sticker, as this one was gifted over by Lego. The set is going to measure around 14 inches in height, and that is with the sails, and 24.5 inches in width, so a little bit over 2 feet. Inside, you'll find bags papered 1 all the way until 21. You'll get some extra bonuses, including the 2 cloth sails that you will find inside. This one has a slit in it, which is, again, another scene from the movie. On top of that, there's an extra bags parts here. And then lastly, we have an instruction booklet page where inside you are going to find your 4 stickers that you're going to have to place on the set. Again, I wish there was no stickers, but hey, I guess 4 is pretty small. And then on top of that, there is going to be 2 booklets of instructions, 1 and 2, which would split the set in pretty much half. We do have some information about the designer because this is a Lego Ideas set. So this is fan designed and fan chosen, of course. And then some inspiration for the set and some iconic scenes that we'll cover. Let's start off with our minifigures, which the first one here is One-Eyed Willie. I think is going to be the best minifigure inside of this. He comes with a beautifully printed torso. Of course, one eye. He has no back face printing, but he does not need it because of how epic this minifig. Definitely one of the chase figs, at least here in my eyes. It's just done so exceptionally well. I feel like this would not be the Goonies set without Sloth, and here we have him in his Superman shirt. He also has a chocolate bar as one of his attachments, single-sided face print, and awesome new mold here for his cap piece. I think that's done so well. But again, a really fun character brought back to life. You can see the suspenders overlapping there in the back. Our next character is going to be the Fratellis. We actually have a wanted poster here above, and you have all 3 of the family members. Here we have Mama Fratelli. She has her pearl necklace, is holding a blaster. Then on top of that, she does have another expression. So if we flip her around, you can see her dual expressions there. I think, again, a really job well done here on the hair and hat mold. I think that was done pretty well by Lego. Also, something to note, dual molded arms, always something to get excited for. Our next minifig is going to be Francis Fratelli, again, being on that wanted poster. I think there was a really nice scene from the movie where he's bringing in a pizza to feed his family. That's where they're coming back, and kind of the Goonies first kind of get caught inside the show. But anyways, he's got a nice printed vest there, a really nice eyepiece with some freckling for his beard. I feel like it does a pretty good job from what he looked like in the movie. And he also has another expression, him kind of with a mad face. I think that's also another job well done. To go along with that Fratelli, we also have the other brother here, if I'm not mistaken. His name is just Jake, but again, he's another character here, a part of the Fratellis. I always think of that scene where Chunk goes up to the cop cars and says, "I can name all 3 of them by face and everything." And it's literally the Fratellis. Such a funny scene, but anyways, you got nice expression here from both sides, and I feel like this one, with his hairpiece, really does the justice of being like a clean, sleek character for the Fratelli, almost like he's kind of like the mobster in the group. One of our main Goonies from the show is going to be Mikey. He actually comes with just short legs because he is a kid in the show, and I think that's pretty much well suited. He has a very scared look here on the front side, which I think very much is so throughout the show. I feel like throughout the movie, he was quite scared. The back of him, is kind of like a happy face, and I guess that would be probably making sense for, after he kissed his brother's girlfriend, or after he, saved the entire movie. But definitely a good character. I don't think he needed a ton of details, and it really doesn't. So another great fig to add into the collection here. is going to be Brandon Walsh, which is his nickname throughout the movie was Brand. I love his hairpiece with the bandana. Like, really good job, Lego. Attention to detail to the max. Definitely has dual expressions here. That's always nice to have throughout this one. But I think the like smirky face here is something I really like. I love that he looks like a macho man and like he like works out, because that is literally him entirely throughout the movie. Like, he's the dude that works out, falls in love, with his girlfriend on their mission. Speaking of characters, we have Andy in her famous like yellow dress shirt, whatever you want to call it. We have the A there, which of course would stand for her name, Andy. She has a scared look, which I think is portrayed throughout the movie quite well. And then also a smirky look here on the backside. Hairpiece, job well done. She is, I feel like, a little bit more blonde rather than this like almost lightish brown color, but hey, we'll take what we can get. Not dual molded legs, just kind of printed legs. But I do like they went with this attire rather than the one with like Troy's vest. Although it would have been kind of cool to get like the Troy minifig inside the set, even though it doesn't include it in it. Our next character is going to be Mouth, who comes with exactly what you would expect. He comes with his brush, as he always slick backs his hair, has a really cheesy look. I always think of the iconic scenes where he's speaking like fluent Spanish and just totally messing with everybody in the movie. So I love that. He's kind of like sticking his tongue out here. That's a really fun expression there. Do love that one. So definitely fits him. And I think the hairpiece is what really brings this minifig together. Also that torso. I mean, that is a really sleek torso. And again, just suits these minifigs. Okay, I'm just going to say it. I don't know how Lego could have done it, but Chunk, imagine if he was, a little bit chunky. I think it would have been a funny thing to do. Just somehow give him like an attachment for like a Santa belly or something like that. But hey, it is what it is. Anyways, this is Chunk, definitely a fun character throughout the movie. Has dual expressions here on both sides. That one is kind of funny. I think maybe just like an open mouth rather than a tongue might have suited better. But hey, we'll take what we can get. It comes with a little dagger there as he was sitting there with Sloth here in the little cave. But anyways, that shirt is pretty iconic to the show. So I feel like that is a nice torso for this fig. Our next minifig here is going to be Data, and Data actually comes with a couple of attachments that you've seen throughout the show. The first one here is when he has like the attachment of a boxing glove and hits one of the Fratellis. That was a pretty cool scene. And then he also has another one that clamps on here, and it actually saves him from the spike ball pit, which is actually a scene we'll see later throughout the film, but it's actually over here in the build. But anyways, he like clamps onto the cave, and it like saves his life. But he's also holding a candle and then one stick of dynamite. But really fun character. Again, another great accommodation fig for this build. And unless you're counting skeletons, this would technically be the last minifigure here. This is the one that I feel like is a little bit questionable on the hairpiece, but this is Steph, the friend of Andy that is carried throughout the movie. So anyways, she has a dual expression here, the one with the glasses and then the other one with the bubble gum. For whatever reason, I do not remember her chewing bubble gum like so much that it causes this to be her expression. But you know what? I'll take it. We don't have a lot of minifigs with this expression. So I'm sure there was a scene. It just didn't come to my mind when I was filming this. But anyways, purple legs, printed torso. That's just pretty standard. But yeah, I do remember the iconic red scarf that she wore throughout the movie. So I guess that's well suited. I just feel like the hairpiece throws me off. Like, I feel like her hair was like just shorter and like more like brushed up rather than like kind of like a Cole from Ninjago, like kind of comb over. But hey, that's my thoughts. But that's all the minifigs we get inside the set, and definitely some strong ones in there. Technically, you have three other minifigs. One would be the skeleton here over the organ or piano. The other one is going to be another skeleton here inside of the rock balls. And then also we have a character over here in the front of the ship that's, half a character there in the brown. So anyways, I think what's really cool about this set, and something that I normally don't appreciate as much as I should, is the fact that this is entirely a set to display in both kind of ways. So first off, we have a pirate ship, right? Like, this is totally the Goonies. We have Sloth that could be jumping off our stand here and jumping into the water, holding on the rope and swinging. Again, another iconic scene, but it's literally a half-built pirate ship. However, I will say this is probably not the side I would display it on, although it does look really good. I just feel like there's better pirate ships on the market, and I don't know. I think it's all right. Like, I'm not in love with it. I don't think it's bad, but just kind of all right. Anyways, I think what's more interesting is everything that's inside of it. On the back here, we have a nice little waterfall. We have a scene that was actually never included in the film, but they included it here because it was a cutscene from the movie. I thought that was cool. It there's a whole like octopus scene where they like flow into the water and there was an octopus. Again, a cut scene in addition to the set that I think was pretty cool. I guess, you know, all these cannons, I think that's another cool feature here on the one side. Definitely something that I really enjoy is like these cannon builds, but we don't really get to see them much because they are covered like that. We do have a sticker there of the Inferno, front hull of the ship. It's all, of course, built into kind of like the mountainside, just like we did see in the Goonies. Another thing to note is going to be all the cloth capes here, but I think it is more intended to be viewed on the other side. So if we go ahead and rotate this set, this is the side I would imagine you kind of want to showcase because this is literally the Goonies. You have the entire story built into this. And what do I mean by that? Well, to start things off, we have all of the different traps and all of the iconic scenes from the movie. So like here, let's just start off on the top of the ship. We have this nice little scene of like the kitchenette area where like most of the film is like kind of shot, right? When the kids walk into for the very first time the Fratelli's house, when they don't know who they are, they walk in, they grab their, you know, juice there. Iconic scene of, I think it was Chunk almost getting his hand thrown into the blender by Mama Fratelli. Again, a really cool scene there. As you go down the stairs, you have the tied up room with the TV where Sloth would technically be held captive, right? Like that's where they held him, and he's chained to the wall. You have the chains there, so you can definitely chain him to the wall. There's the Fratelli's you know, wanted poster that we looked at earlier. This is definitely a scene I think that could have had a little bit more attention to detail. Like how funny would it have been? And I don't know if this is like a little bit too much rated, but Stiff, the character that was the FBI agent that was like dead in the freezer. I mean, they called him a Stiff, right? That was awesome in the film. But imagine there was like, I don't know, just a minifig head there or just something to like cause reference to. I think that was a missed opportunity in my opinion, but again, I know there's probably limits there. The fireplace is definitely an iconic scene there, and the money printing press. I think they were printing $50 bills in the film, if I'm not mistaken, but obviously Lego only has $100 bills, so, you know, it does justice. But anyways, the fireplace moves just like it did inside, you know, the show in the movie. And I thought that was a really good job, and that you could clearly see the ladder going down. There's another really cool reference there where Mikey's dad is a plumber, and you have all the plumbing lines here showing all the water, where they break the water lines. And, you know, there's some iconic scenes on like the golf course where like the water is kind of going crazy. But anyways, it's a callback to the show, to the movie. I think that's a job well done. This is another really cool scene here, moving down into the cave system. We have this knob here that allows us to turn and do the wrecking balls. If you guys remember in the movie, I think they almost got crushed, but they found the character here. I'm actually drawing a blank on the character's name, but it was the one that was the trained kind of adventurer that they last found that map, which of course they did come with a printed map. Heck yeah, the Goonies. But yeah, anyways, at the top here, there's a release lever, and check that out. All of the wrecking balls just kind of fall, and obviously that's kind of how this character had passed. He kind of died from those wrecking balls there, kind of dropping. So the traps here definitely being a call to action. Of course, when the Goonies find the key here, they find this little 1x2 tile, which is a key. Let's check that out. It's nice and printed. You can actually go into the next room here, and then you can clearly see these two 1x1 studs here on this little cylinder thing. You can go ahead and place the key on top of there, and then give it a turn. I think maybe I'm going the wrong. Give it a turn, and then the trap door falls. And this is where Data was able to save himself with that clip, and that's where that comes in so handy. He's able to kind of clamp on in the cave and save himself from falling on all these spiky traps and stuff. This is where they originally thought was the treasure, which obviously it wasn't. It was the wishing well. And of course, Lego included the wishing well. I thought that was a really fun feature, right? And then you even have the bucket going up. Obviously, we don't have the minifigure Troy and his friends, but at the top of the wishing well is where those characters would have been. So anyways, pretty fun there. And then when they're getting chased away by the Fratellis, there was a pretty iconic scene of a cave of this kind of like skull. And I love that Lego included that in the back of this build. Like, this is so sick. Like, this is just job well done. It's the little things, right? Like, it's literally the little things. They left the lantern, which is funny because they did leave the lantern in the movie. But anyways, they go through this little center pocket here, which is exactly what it depicts. And as you go, and another thing I forgot to mention is like the water, when they pour out the water, it's literally tracking down here. That's how they kind of like know it's a trap. Anyways, as we continue on here, this is another really cool scene. As the characters go up, definitely my favorite scene from the entire build. You have the piano scene where technically all the characters are standing over here, and they have like, I think it was like 3 tries to get all the piano keys correct. So anyways, let's just pretend that's the first one, fail. That's the next one, fail. What's the next one? That one's a fail. And like these pieces pop out and like just for showcase and demonstration, they're super easy to just pop back in, which is really, really nice. Like definitely some engineering there going into it, right? Like I'm not breaking pieces off and it's like not a frustrating experience. It's actually pretty smooth and seamless. So I do like that. And then of course the last piece here, it would be the one that unlocks the door. And that door would be technically to the escape room chute, and that's where that octopus here is on the other end. But that's where the characters, the Goonies, actually go ahead and go into the final room, which is technically above here in the actual Goonies boat. And One-Eyed Willie would be placed right there. So that would technically be One-Eyed Willie, even though we got him in a character over here. Again, another pretty iconic scene is this room in the captain's room. There's a ton of gold. There's actually multiple dead characters. Actually, this totally actually makes sense. I don't know why I said that. That would be One-Eyed Willie. One-Eyed Willie would sit in this chair. That's like the main captain chair. And it was definitely closer to the scale. And technically, those pieces would be One-Eyed Willie's pieces. And it was kind of leveraged, right? So if they moved the gold off there, it would move, and it was just like one of One-Eyed Willie's last traps, which the Fratellis did, and like the entire cave collapsed, and that's where the boat was able to get free. But anyways, seriously, I know there's a lot of lore here, but job well done. I think that room is definitely fun, filled with gold. One-Eyed Willie, definitely my favorite character from the set. Another call to mention is if you're buying this set day one, on the 1st, you're going to have the opportunity to get the exclusive promotional item to buy with it. I have not built it yet, but I'll save that for a future review video if it interested, so make sure to comment that below. But this is the Goonies, the Walsh's attic. So we talked about Brand and Mikey. This would be their parents and the attic. So 2 additional minifigures for this build, which I think is really fun. Definitely a strong promotional item for the year. And of course, this was also gifted by Lego, so big thanks to them. But I'm excited to get that and add it to the Goonies. Now let's talk about the building experience. Now, as I built this set, I took a handful of different clips of some iconic things that I enjoyed, like the TV room with Sloth and the keychains, kind of locking him to the wall. I thought that was a really fun feature and honestly kicked us off. There's also some really cool building techniques, like using pins to like kind of build walls for the ship inverted, that I thought were pretty fun. Now, this set is built in sections, and there's a total of 4 sections, and they go with Technic pins. And you would think that you could like release them and, kind of take it apart, but you can't. It kind of gets locked down with pieces for like one big build. Of course, all the traps are definitely a highlight for this build, especially those wrecking balls that kind of fall, all the trapdoors, this skull here for that iconic scene in the show. I thought that was a fun build experience, as well as just placing it down on an angle there and kind of latching it in. It just offers like a fun build experience. And then also you can see the ball rolling on the top of the like cliff there. The wrecking balls, of course, just I played with this feature so many times because it worked seamlessly from the start. And of course, the little key here that allows you to turn the this entire trapdoor here where the wishing well is. That's pretty cool. Of course, Data is that minifig that like really has the call of attention here because he's technically the one that fell in the movie, and then of course got saved by, well, his ingenuity, right? His device that he kind of used. So I love that feature. I think it was just like the small details that like really pull this together. Again, all those coins are printed elements, which is something I like. They're also used in the like One-Eyed Willie like trophy room or whatever you want to call it. But I really like that character with Data there. And then on top of it, you can just kind of remove that as well. I think maybe a better place to like turn that probably could have made it a little bit better. I feel like, I have relatively small hands and it's kind of hard for me to, get in there and kind of turn it. This section over here was the last section when you're building. I thought the build experience was great, right? Like you have all of these angles with like the wood where the Goonies kind of ran across the water as they're getting chased by the Fratellis.
Okay, the grand piano scene is so cool, but I've rebuilt this at least 5 times now. I've spent like an hour doing it, and I cannot get the operation to work. So I guess I'm not too sure, but essentially what is supposed to happen is as you play the piano keys, just like in the movie, check it out, the floor pops away, and then you have the main piano key here that like, when I guess you hit this one, technically this should probably slide over, and out comes like the passageway that is technically that would have to go. Then you have your passageway that would lead us into the next room. So I have everything built here. I'll go ahead and reassemble it and just show you that I'm just having some issues, but really cool feature.
Okay, so here I have it reassembled all the way to the T. So
the whole function should be for this thing to pop open, which I think is pretty simple and straightforward. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and press the wrong keys, and this is so cool. Basically, all the other floors just kind of pop out. And the last one here is the one that won't work for me. So yeah, anyways, there's the back of it. I'm supposed to probably get this piece to bump up, but it's just like so tight in there that it won't go over that piece. So I don't know what's wrong with that on my end or on the design end, but yeah, essentially that's supposed to pop over, and then basically the gate would open. So one more time, I have the floor open, and as I'm pushing that piece down, nothing's really happening over here. So I'm actually giving up at this point and trying to fix that. So we'll move forward with the build.
It's like 10 p.m. and I finally figured it out. So, all right, we're going to play the piano keys. We're going to knock out the first one here, wrong key. There's another wrong key. I think that one right there should do it. And then this is the last one. That should... Come on. No, it works. All right. I don't know what I did. I took it apart for the millionth time after it was assembled, and now it works. But yeah, definitely a really cool feature that I'm so happy works. Yeah, there we go. But at $330, I feel like this set is definitely calling to action. People that love the Goonies or really want to re-experience that movie from quite some time ago. Trust me, coming from someone who grew up watching the Goonies, my wife Georgiana had never watched it, and she watched it for the very first time when I knew I was getting this set, and she absolutely loved it here in 2025. And that's watching a movie from literally 45 years ago, which is pretty crazy. So anyways, I think the set is a little bit rather expensive at $330. I mean, it does come with total piece count at 2,912, definitely paying that little bit of tax here. Branding the Goonies, that's kind of what it feels like. But I will say, I think this set was pretty fun to build. Like, it offered a lot. And I do like the fact that you can display it both ways. On side A with all of the traps, callbacks to the movie, the side I prefer, or if you want to take that away, right, you could just display the ship. And trust me, I'm a person that has a lot of Lego boats in my Lego display room, and I feel like this would compare and kind of display quite nicely, even though it's only half a ship. But regardless, I'm curious to see what you guys have to say in the comments below. As always, if you enjoy Lego reviews, make sure to hit that subscribe button and watch some of our other 2025 Lego reviews. Aside from that, I'm Cristo from Stud City. Thanks so much for watching. Excited to see what you guys think. And of course, we'll see you in the next one.